day, hopefully for me personally, but also for the club and all the fans. I just want to do a quick recap of how we got here and just try to explain the process or remind you guys of some of the things that were mentioned not too long ago when I was here introducing myself. So approximately, I think around November 3rd, I was announced. Immediately, sat with Diego and started to work on some ideas surrounding the strategy for the head coach hire. I had already pre-populated a list. I worked with Diego on ideas from his end, and then we started to create alignment on what this process could look like. A couple things that we need to understand about the process. Starting it in November, kind of eliminates some of the time that would be required for me to spend a lot of time with people, getting to know them, understanding what they're all about. And so I was pretty strategic in terms of what that list looks like. And we had a long short list and then a short finalist list from that. I will say that I do know a lot of people, so it's not just because I didn't know someone necessarily that they wouldn't be included. I do have good contacts and ability to understand what people could be like, but I thought it was very important for this next phase of our kind of growth as a club to ensure that we had complete alignment from ownership to the president and Diego and myself and the head coach to create the stability that's required, in my experience, for long-term success and obviously for winning championships one day. So that is where we landed. We went through a multi-round interview process. We interviewed a number of different candidates, and it was clear throughout the process that we were in a good place in trying to get Yoann on side. There was some challenges, obviously different opportunities that he had to work through in terms of potential suitors, but I'm very pleased to announce Yoann as our next head coach. And I do want to just go through a couple of the different characteristics of why we chose him as well. So the first that I mentioned before is the person. So Yoann possesses a really warm personality. He's a great human being. He's someone that I know and trust from our time together. And he's someone that I think will be a very clear communicator with not only you guys, but the staff and also the players. And I think that deep down is someone that I can trust will maintain a calm head in the good and the bad, and that will be able to work with, in the good and the bad as well. I think that's very important for me day to day. I've always get told when you are appointing a coach, make sure it's someone that you can work with 23 of the 24 hours a day. And I think so far so good. Come back in 6 months, but I'm pretty sure we'll be okay as well. So that was very important. The second thing is the club. So in terms of the vision for the club and the sporting leadership, we're looking for someone to sit and work alongside of all the other departments that we'll be building out. I mentioned, the ability to incorporate and use data in their coaching preparations, understanding how to incorporate different opinions from scouts and external evaluators of talent, how to, use the performance department to the best of their abilities, incorporating that into his day-to-day preparations, and in general, creating a collaborative experience for all members of staff to highlight their skills at the table together was very important for us and obviously for the club. And then the last part is the coach, which I'm sure he will speak more on, but he's a very open-minded, modern thinker when it comes to the game. He's able to evolve with the trends and changes very quickly. He seeks out new ideas, but he has, in theory, a very clear and very strong idea of how he sees the game and how he wants to play. And I think that will translate very well, given the other skills I just spoke about, to the players and obviously the rest of the club very quickly. So with all those things said, the last piece I would add is he comes from a winning organization, someone who knows what it takes to win trophies, someone who wakes up every day thinking about what that looks like and how to do it. And that was a huge priority for us in the club as well, to add more people with that knowledge to help bring people along, but ultimately to achieve our goal as a winning organization and one day to bring trophies here. So that is the reasons in a nutshell. Hopefully that was not too extensive, but it gives you a clear picture of what we worked off of. I will hand it over to Yoann to introduce himself and obviously to talk more about the coaching side. But most importantly, thank you guys for your patience. I know it maybe felt long. It didn't feel like a long time for me, but this is something you're not trying to rush. I will say I feel like I delivered it pretty quickly, but I know it's been longer than I got here, and so a real big appreciation for everybody while we got this right. So thank you. Over to you, Yoann.
Thank you. First off, like, really nice to see you all. I'm really excited to be here. I want to thank first and foremost, like, the ownership group, Diego and Corey, for bringing me in St. Louis. I'm really excited by the project, by the vision of the club. The vision that ownership has showed as well through the process has been really exciting for me. So I'm excited to be here. I also want to thank, like, the coaches I worked with. As you know, from my background, I've worked with a lot of coaches that have been mentors for me in those years, and obviously I'll finish with my family and friends. As you know, like, we don't spend enough time with them, but they've always been there in that process of supporting me as well. So, like I was saying, I'm really excited to take that step to be here with you this morning, and also to bring the vision of the club to fruition. That's my goal. That's why I'm here. I'm excited to work with Corey. What I've seen through the process is great people with a great vision, and also, like, a big, like, will for alignment. And that's what we're trying to bring here together. I'm excited to be a part of that, and I'm excited to get working with the players as well that I enjoyed speaking with this morning on the phone. So yes, really excited to be here, and looking forward to also spending some more time with you guys.
Awesome. We'll start with Tom, but we ask that you direct the question to Corey or Yoann before you ask. Go ahead, Tom.
Yoann, this is Tom Timmerman from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to St. Louis.
Thank you.
Two things here. One, just how big of a challenge is this with a team that has missed the playoffs the last 2 years to get them back? And what does it mean to you, as you've been an interim head coach, but to be an actual head coach?
So I'll answer those two questions. The first thing, I don't see that as a challenge. I see that as an opportunity. I think after 3 years at the club, like, of course, like, you learn a lot from, like, what you could have done differently or what you could have done better. And I think there has been a lot of learning, like, done at the club for the past 3 years. Today, I see that as an opportunity to turn the page on those 3 years and to learn from it and to start a new phase, a new chapter. So that's the way I want to approach it, with the staff, with the players as well. And that's why I'm excited. I'm excited about the opportunity. Speaking about me and my background a little bit, I'd say there is 3 things that help me be where I am today. The first thing is I put myself through extensive education. I'm someone that always seek for progress, try to improve, try to think outside the box and how I can get better. I've done my pro license like 5 years ago coming out of Cincinnati, so I've really put a lot into my education. The second thing is I've experienced, like, a lot in the past 10 years, like, whether as an assistant coach, as an interim head coach, as a head coach in USL Championship. Those experiences have helped me get an insight on, like, what it takes to win. I've been part of, like, moments that were very difficult in Cincinnati, but also very successful moments in the past few years. So I've had, like, also some incredible insights on what it takes when it comes to winning. And the last thing, I mentioned it in the intro, is also the mentorship. I've worked with incredible coaches. The last in date was Wilfred Nancy. Worked with Greg Vanney as well very closely, and Mikey Varas with the youth national team. Those coaches have also helped shape my view of the game and how I want to approach it in that opportunity. So that's how I feel strongly about, like, what's to come and about the project that we're running right now.
Is it a good feeling, though, to be a head coach and just not an interim head coach?
Of course, it's a great feeling. Like, right now, it's like the start of something new. And again, like, when you see the project and the resources, and most importantly the people, like, around that project, of course it feels amazing, and I'm excited by it.
We'll go to Hockman, Justin, and Matt.
Hey, I'm Benjamin Hockman from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch for Coach. Corey mentioned your style of play. What is your style of play, and why do you think it will win games?
Yes, that's a great question, and I think we'll discover more as well with the team and how we work together, like in preseason, what we can do. But I want to bring a proactive approach, like, with and without the ball. I want us to be a high-pressing team. I want us to be more on the front foot as well with the ball, like, controlling more of the game. But I want these two things to be rooted in clarity and process. So there is a need for clarity for the players in terms of expectation when we're attacking and when we're defending. So with that clarity, we'll be able to also hold the players accountable, hold ourselves as a staff accountable, and have a clear direction that we want to follow, and that can allow us to evaluate, assess, and probably readjust as well. So I'd say this is the main thing for me, like bringing that clarity. And then, of course, like to bring that clarity, you need to have a clear process. So relying on the staff, relying on the people we've got at the club to implement those things is going to be a massive part of like what I want to do. I want to create like a collaborative environment, the same way that we're collaborating right now, like in terms of starting that chapter. So that will be also a big part of like how we want to implement the way we want to play.
And then looking back at your past, has there been one person who's been the best mentor, the strongest mentor for you that made you into the coach you are today?
I'd say I'd speak about my last two experiences, like with Wilfried. Like the past 3 years have been incredible. Again, going through like some amazing highs with like winning the championship, but also some incredible lows with losing the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. So I'd say like that collaboration, like we've known each other for like more than 10 years. So working together, being part of the day-to-day, like rolling up our sleeves was amazing, like in terms of shaping the way I see the game and how I see like the process and creating a winning project. But my also relationship with Greg Vanney in the past, like at Galaxy, was very short but very intense and very good in terms of also helping me understand the power of relationship and connection with people. So those two people have a special place for me, and I took a lot from them, definitely.
Thank you.
Justin?
Corey, a question for you. You mentioned kind of starting this process a little bit late. There was some time before you got here when the coaching search was also ongoing. How can you describe a little bit about that process of coming into a process that was already ongoing and how you were able to not necessarily start over, but take the ball from there?
Yeah, well, I'm aware there's probably discussions. I think if I go back to the most important thing, alignment, I think I have to give credit to everybody here that they were patient, even though maybe people were not asking them to be patient, and were able to wait until, I got here to really align the whole process. So I think that gave us a real good strategic starting point to then make the right decision. Before some of that, in terms of our shortlist, and that we did engage in a decent amount of discussions, especially with ownership, on how they view, this process going forward, the type of person that they're comfortable with in terms of the short term and long term, what that looks like in terms of degrees of risk. And I can say that the ownership group is extremely excited for our ability to go for it and try to win games, as much as possible. And I think that level of trust, maybe you guys don't know because you haven't been in this type of role and I'm just getting to know it, but I know it's very important when you have the support to be brave and to be bold and to create excitement, even though at times you might have some, goals conceded. I think getting that feedback from ownership allowed me to really focus on what that group of people could look like, and to be brave in our approach too, to know that we want to be on the front foot. We want to be dictating these games, and we want opponents to come here and think about how, they just want to get on the flight when they leave. And I think having that support from ownership to find the right person in this way was really crucial to then narrowing down the profile to find Yoann.
And then for Coach Damet, what about, I know you had other opportunities elsewhere, but what about St. Louis and this project specifically can drew you in over those other opportunities?
First, like the same way you'd ask me, like, what do I need to be successful? I'd answer the people. I think the main thing that makes the project is the people, and meeting like ownership, meeting Diego, knowing a lot about Corey, like, is definitely something that having that vision of alignment, like, and that possibility that it could be real, like, definitely had like a big like attraction to me. The second thing, of course, are the fans. Like when you look at the fan base, like there's not many teams that can say like they have the fan base that there is here in St. Louis. So like I was for the first time at the stadium earlier this season, and it was amazing to see like the atmosphere at the stadium. And then the last thing are the resources. When you see the facilities and the stadium we've got, like there is no better places to come and start a new project and actually have all the tools and resources to help the team in terms of what you want to implement. So these three things coming together, the people, the fans, and the resources, like for me was incredible in terms of making a decision and being here today.
We go Matt, Frank, and then Jonathan.
Yoann, Matt Baker with Flyover Footy Podcast. Can you speak a little bit about what qualities on the field of players matter the most to you as you begin your search, along with Corey in the front office, in signing the remaining players for the squad?
Yeah, it's a great question. Like again, like these are the processes we're going through now in terms of establishing like clarity in the player profile we're looking at. I'd say the thing we've discussed is more like the main qualities we're looking at like within like the group of players that is already there with the players we've got is like the grit that we want the players to have, like in terms of like hardworking players. The second thing is more around like awareness and coachability. Like, can the players be flexible? Can they be coachable? Can they expand? And the last thing is revolves around the craft. Like, can they be technically sound, where they can actually like take some risk, take some initiatives, but also like execute on them. So I'd say those are the three things that we've discussed, like on a bigger scale. Now we're going more into like individual and positional profiles, and that's the next step that we're taking in terms of like looking at the roster and looking at future profiles to join us.
I guess question for the both of you, Corey or Yoann, where do you see the biggest areas of need remaining in this squad?
That's a great question. We're working on that now. I think there's obvious answers, in terms of just opening. So I don't need to necessarily go through each one, but we have.
Good though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear there's certain positions that are open that we will target first, and then as we evolve the discussions a little bit deeper, it will be more around the profile type and like the squad evolution over the next 6 to 12 months. But short term, I think we definitely have a need on the back line. I think that needs to be addressed, and then we'll work on the rest as we get through the profiles together.
So, Yoann, I read somewhere you started being a coach at age 13. Is that true? You had a team? That's incorrect?
At 16.
16, okay. So, but at what age did you know this was going to be your profession, and why do you love what you do?
That's a great question. I'd say the moment I stepped into coaching at 16, I thought this is what I want to do for a living. And I was actually speaking about that yesterday with Diego, our president, in terms of there was two things that I really enjoyed about coaching. The first thing was the education part, because I started with youngsters. So I think transmitting values was something that was dear to me. And the other piece was like, if I could transmit the game I love in the way I love it, I think that was also something I wanted to do. So like very early, I knew that's the path I wanted to take. But I'm also joking with Corey and Diego the other day, saying like my parents at the beginning like probably looked at me and thought like, that's gonna be a hard reality check, like in a few year time. So I'm happy I took on that journey. Again, like it's a journey that is not linear, and like there is a lot of bumps in the roads. But I'm very, very thankful for all the opportunities I've got throughout my career, and today marks a milestone for me as well. But I'm excited to keep going, like with the journey I decided to take now 20 years ago. So exciting time.
Jonathan and Lynn.
Jonathan All with St. Louis Public Radio. Coach, the fan base here is frustrated. We've seen a lot of turnover in 2 years. How will you balance coming out strong and showing them things are different, but also building something for the long term?
Yeah, it's a great question. Again, I think I completely understand the frustration from the fans. I think now is the opportunity to start a new cycle, a new chapter with like a new leadership. Corey mentioned many times about alignment. I think there is going to be alignment in that project. I think what I'm looking forward to is like to getting to meet the players, getting to work with them. I think again there is going to be like a very important block in preseason in building the way we want to look like, and also like addressing potentially some position needs where we're at, some roster needs at the moment. For me, it's all going to be about like, again, what we want to implement, but don't forget that what we want to implement is what we think is going to be the best way to make us win. So I think we want to find that balance quite early on, using that block of 6 weeks in preseason to build a foundation of what winning is going to look like for us, and being ready for the start of the season next season. Again, like I mentioned before, for me it's all about clarity and process. So the process should help us also having a clear vision, a clear direction, but constantly evaluate where are we at, what do we need to improve on, and how can we readjust like across the course of the season. So that's the way I want to approach it, and I know the staff will be supportive in that regard, and that's the direction we're going to take.
And Corey, will Critch stay with the organization, and if so, in what role?
Yeah, I think it's important to address that. So first of all, the entire organization and the playing staff are very thankful for everything he's done. We're in discussions about a role within the club and keeping him here, and that's something that we'll work with him over the next, hopefully, few days to determine what's best for him. But club holds him in high regard. It'd be great to keep him if we could.
For Yoann, hi, Lynn Worthy from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. You referenced sort of your sense that a lot had been learned over the first couple of years here with this organization and the vision of ownership. I wondered for you, how would you describe what that vision was that was translated to you as what this will look like going forward, and the head coach's position within that vision?
I don't think it's too much my place to look back on the past 3 years of the club. I think I came here knowing that there is history of the past 3 years. Where I come from is like, can I understand better the team, the way the team has been performing, the way the team has been playing. I think the main thing that should give you an understanding of the direction we want to take is that word alignment. Is again having like people working together, creating a path that we want to take for the future, and like sticking to that path and constantly evaluating and constantly like looking to improve. Like that's for me like what it's about. Again, there's been tons of learning. Like I'm here as well to get to understand like what they are. Those are part of the question that I've been asking, that I'm going to keep asking. And again, everybody's got a different story to tell, but I'm not there to dwell on the past. I'm here to build the future, and that's why I'm excited about.
In terms of just with that alignment, how the head coach fits into that, how do you see that going forward, not looking back, but going forward?
Again, I think it's a relationship that the club wants to build from like the top all the way down. Like that's my relationship with Corey, where we can discuss openly, where we can like again have some conversation and feed each other off with like some ideas, you know, where we can have that transparency in terms of like, where is the team at? What do we need? How can we get better? And those questions can be asked, and that conversation can go both ways. And that's where I see the alignment is, again, where do we stand now? Where do we want to go? And how do we get there? And constantly being in those conversations on how do we create that process that will allow us to get there.
Thomas Schwartz, then Santi.
Coach, everybody knows how great French football is. Players all over the world, coaches all over the world. Why is that? And whatever it is, can you bring some of that magic here?
You're pushing me to reflect a lot on on my French background right now. I don't know. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I think there is like an idea in France that French coaches don't export too well. They don't work too well abroad. I'm a little bit the exception in that matter. I think Wilfried is another exception in that matter. But I think there is a feeling that maybe French coaches, they are not enough given the opportunity to speak another language, to get to experience like a different culture. So for me, like, I think moving abroad quite young also allowed me to develop that aspect of understanding that when you work in a different country, you have to understand the culture, you have to understand the context, and you have to understand that the people you're working with are coming from everywhere in the world. So today, I'm bringing my French side, but I must say I've learned a lot here in North America in the past 10 years I've been here. I'm very thankful for all the people I've met like along the way, coming from all sorts of places that have also opened my mind to different ways of working, different ways of communicating and leading people. So I'm excited to also bring that to the table.
Can I ask both of you guys your positions on the long throw? Do you embrace the long throw? Do you notice how prevalent it is in all the leagues?
I mean, I can answer. I'm for smart soccer. So if it improves our chances to win, I will try to recruit someone who has a long throw, just so the coach has that tool. And I think that's my job, is to give him as many different tools in his toolkit to win the game. So as a purist, maybe some people are not a fan of that, but I'm a fan of winning. And so if it's a long throw or someone does a flip and it helps us get goals, then I'm all for it. So, yeah.
Santi.
Coach, welcome to St. Louis. Santiago Beltran with the Spanish broadcast for KSOK and Los 40 STL. During the tenure with Columbus, you guys played St. Louis City SC a couple of times. What were your impressions of the team back then?
I'd speak about this year, like in 2025. I was quite excited to come here. That was one of the stadium that I never played at, so it was exciting for me to see the environment, see the fans, see the atmosphere. I actually thought that was an interesting game. I thought we were on the back foot a lot, especially in the first half and at the end of the second half. So it was a very interesting game for me, where, again, when I go back to today, looking at the team, looking at the roster, I also took some notes at the time on the players we faced and what was the feeling I got at the end of the game. So looking back, I think gave me a great insight of where I am today and what I'm gonna have to work with also moving forward in the future. So that's also what gets me excited.
And you mentioned mentors like Wilfred Nancy, Greg Banney. Did you have a chance to talk to them about this opportunity? And if you did, anything you can share about those conversations?
I've had a lot of conversation in the past 2 months, of course. You try to, again, think about things you're not thinking about. You try to make the most educated decision on everything. So, of course, spoke to them, spoke to a lot of people. And again, I think, again, the biggest thing that comes is you need to go for what you feel is right for you, and feeling their support in that matter was everything to me, I know I'm ready. I know this is right and more than right. I'm really, really happy to be here, and having their support and having their words also of encouragement, whether it was before, whether it was yesterday when things have been announced, is something I'm grateful for.
Thank you. We'll go to Corey, Matt, then finish with Drew.
Hey, Coach. Corey Miller from Channel 5. You said you mentioned, or you noticed the passion of the fans here when you've been here a couple times. It's been a little while since they've seen a lot of winning. How would you describe your own passion for winning and how important it is to bring that to those fans that you've seen the passion from?
I'd speak about winning for the fan. For sure, winning is everything. You want the fan to live an experience, and the experience starts with the performance. And that's where we're going to work really hard, is bringing consistency in the performances. And that goes, again, with clarity and process that I was speaking about. So can we bring that consistency in performance that will allow us to win more often than not? So I know how much it matters for the fans, and it matters to us as well. At the end of the day, I don't know anybody that doesn't want to win. Whether it's a board game, whether it's a soccer game, everybody wants to win. So I want to bring that back in terms of the mindset we need to have, especially playing here at Energizer Park. The fans, we need to feed off their energy. I think they're amazing. From what I've seen, they never gave up on the team either. So I think we need to build that back as soon as we can. The winning piece for me is also not getting carried away with the winning. Sometimes winning can hide a lot of things. So can we also be stable enough to understand that in the winning there is also some lesson to learn, and use those lessons to build on the consistency that I'm speaking about.
Matthew Racchio, STL Sports Central. So over the last 5 years since you first were the head coach of a team in the interim capacity, just what are the biggest things you've learned about, and as you plan to be a head coach again, what are the biggest things you've learned, the biggest things you've tried to kind of specialize in to get yourself to this point again?
I'd say it's the power of people. I think, again, if you build a team around you, and when I mean team, I will extend that to Corey, Diego, ownership, but also to the staff, to the players. You need to believe and rely on the people. People are there because for a reason, because they're experts, because they're good at their job. So you need to empower them to do it. And then you need to help them develop in that regard. So for me, these are the two missions that I've learned across the past 5 years. Is I think as a leader of a team, you want to empower people to do their job, empower the player to take responsibility and ownership on the pitch. But also you've got the mission of helping them develop. That goes with feedback, that goes with a clear communication. So these are the biggest learning I've had in the past 5 years, that for me, success comes from alignment, from a clear communication, and like a good group of people coming together that feel the freedom to perform their job like on a day-to-day.
And then Corey, in the last 10 days, you spoke about the free agent plan at the time. You guys were going to build your scouting base, and then you would get together once you hired the coach and kind of figure out where things align. How do you see the timeline and that plan to kind of coalesce and now make those decisions?
Yeah, I think clearly we didn't just wait. We've had conversations with numerous agents, players, teams on what could be out there. I think, again, my job is just to bring it all to the forefront and then knock it out with the head coach as quickly as possible. But in those conversations, I think some people had ideas of what might be going on. And so we're able to dive deeper into maybe what a position need could be with the agents and players, able to describe a lot of the project, and then just say, okay, now we just need to make things official and we'll go from there. So in the recruitment as well, some of the things we did parse out from the candidates were players or positions that would be very important. We did ask for certain player profiles. So I was able to get clarity. It didn't matter who we hired from each of those candidates of what might be important, and I could immediately start to get that done as well. So I am very busy, but also there's a lot of hurry up and then wait. So I'm very excited for this moment now to have at least a collaborator and to work through that together. But we're also, and I always say is, we're going to be looking for the right players. So there's a period that, we have to give the staff a period of assessment as well. But if I go back to the original question of what we need, there's clear opportunities that we need to add to the squad immediately to try to strengthen it.
Thank you. We'll finish with Drew.
First of all, Yoann, congrats.
Thank you.
How do you start to build your relationship with players?
I started today by calling everyone. So I'm 4 players away from having everybody on the phone today. So for me, it's the first step. I want to connect as quickly as possible. I think it's getting to know them on a personal level. This is part of the things that are important to me. I think before working with the players, you're working with human beings. Before working with staff, you're working with human beings. So can we understand the human piece before understanding the player? I think that will help us also push those guys on a daily basis. So started today, trying to get everybody on the phone individually, get to understand where they're at, if they're enjoying their time away as well, giving them a feeling of what environment they will go back to in January. And then, of course, it's going to be about January, hitting the ground running with those guys. I'm looking forward to the first training session, to the first meetings, to the first interaction. I'm really excited to start that collaboration also with the players, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
All right, and then, Corey, you got your coach. What's next for you in the organization?
So there is a lot of, I don't know if there are openings or opportunities in the sporting leadership side. So currently we are short there. So I'll be working through that probably within the next couple of weeks into the new year to try to strengthen our overall, support system for not just myself, but also for our coaching staff. Key areas that need to be improved would obviously be in the scouting side, in the data and insight side. And then I refer to the rest of that as a sporting leadership side of improvements that are required to allow us to, me specifically, to spread out some of the workload, to continue the pace in which we need to get things done to be competitive, but also to add more experts in different areas to help the club in general. Through alignment, as this word is obviously the buzzword today, but in all the departments. So we look at a clear pathway for players from the academy up to the first team. We look at clear methods for recruitment and scouting from the academy to the first team. We need more people leading that and bringing the different departments together. And I think that will be it has been something I've already been working on over the past couple of weeks as well. But clearly this was most important. So all of the work has been done to get us to this day. And then now I'll move forward with the rest of those, strategic appointments.
Awesome. Corey, Yoann, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.